Hello YouTube, we are on the Real Programming channel. It is about HTML and CSS. My name is Andrei. I greet you, welcome on my channel. This is our 76th lesson, problems with the header. Let's go. Go ahead and play with the page a bit by opening your browser window wider than the header image and then narrower than the header image. You'll see that the header isn't working quite like we'd like it to yet. When the browser window is more than 800 pixels wide, you get all this extra space over here to the right. And when the browser is narrower than 800 pixels wide, the slogan part of the header images falls off the edge of the browser window. The rest of the page resizes nicely as you widen and narrow the browser window. Brain power. If we split the header image into two different images, one with the logo and one with the slogan, can you think of ways you might lay out the two images in the div ID header elements so they are positioned correctly? That is, the logo stays on the left on the header, while the slogan is always anchored to the right part of the header, even if you open up your browser window. We can easily split the header into two GIF images. They both have a transparent background with a mate that works perfectly with our coffee-colored background color in the header. Providing all the coffee you need to power your life, just drink it. Fixing the header images with float. It's often true that there are multiple strategies to solving the layout problem with CSS, and that's certainly the case here. The way we are going to solve it is to use float. You already used float once to lay out part of the Starbucks page before we switched to using the CSS table layout. But there is no reason you can't mix and match different strategies like table display with float in the same page. In fact, it's very common. So let's take a look at how we are going to do this. 1. Split the header image into two images. We already did this for you. You'll find the images header logo GIF and header slogan GIF in the chapter 11 Starbucks images folder. Header logo GIF and header slogan GIF. Second, update your HTML to use these images. Next, you need to update your HTML to replace the existing header images, which is one big 800 pixels wide image with the two images we created in step 1. We'll go ahead and give each image an ID that we'll use to select each of them in your CSS. So, this is our code. And step 3, fix the images with CSS. Finally, you need to get the images laid out in the header correctly. If you load the page now, you will see both images in the header right next to each other and the left side of the page. The logo image looks okay where it is, but now the slogan image is right next to the logo image. We need to move it over here with CSS. And exercise. This CSS is so easy, you could probably do it in your sleep. After all, the layout experience you had in this chapter already. Go ahead and write the CSS to fix the images in the header. You know you are going to use float. Fill in the blanks below with the rest of the rule. You need to get the images into the right place. Check your answer at the end of this lesson or maybe a chapter. So, test drive your float. Get your CSS update in Starbucks CSS and reload the Starbucks page. You should see the header slogan image all the way over on the right side of the page. just where it should be, and better yet, it stays over on the right even you open your browser really wide. Success. Now the slogan image is all the way over on the right, it says stays there even if you change the browser window size. How float works in the header. Remember the steps for how to float an element from earlier in the chapter. Give the element and an identity. We gave the image we wanted to float, the ID, header, slogan, check. Give the element a weight. We didn't actually have to do that explicitly this time, although you could. Why? Because an image element has a specific weight by default. It's the weight of the image itself. CSS recognizes that the image has a weight, so we don't have to specify it ourselves. Float the element. Check, we floated it. The image is nested in the header div, so it floats up to the top right of the div. But remember, we set the height of the header to be exactly the same as the height of our two images. And as we explained before, the other inline content in the page will flow around the floated element. In this case, the other inline content in the header is a logo image, which happens to also be exactly the same height as the slogan image and the header, so the two images line up perfectly. So there are no dumb questions. Why didn't we have to add clear right to the table container div below the header? Because the image we floated has the same exact height, 108 pixels, as the other image in the header, so there's no room for the other content in the page to move up and flow around to the floated image. Both images take up the exact same amount of vertical space, so the other elements in the page stay firmly in their places. What if I float an image that's in a paragraph of text? Then the text will flow around the image. It works just like when we floated the elixirs div in the long. Remember how the text in the rest of the page flowed around the div. Something if you float an image. Could we have positioned the header images using one of the other layout strategies we talked about? Yes, indeed. There is usually more than one way of doing things in CSS. Another strategy might have been to use absolute positioning. We'll look at how to absolutely position an image next. Hey guys, Starbucks just won the Roaster of the Year award. This is huge. Can we get in the page front in the center? All our customers need to see this. Top priority, make it happen. The award. Well, we could just throw this image into any old paragraph on the page, but the CEO really wants this to be noticeable on the page. What if we could place the award on the page like this? Not only does that look great, but it's exactly what CEO wants. But how? Is another situation for using float, or are we going to need another strategy? Adding divar. Notice that the award is sitting in a position that overlaps both the header and the main part of the page. It would be pretty tricky to get floated images into this position. Not only that, but we know the award shouldn't affect the flow of any other elements in this page. This sounds like a job for absolute positioning. After all, by using absolute positioning, you can place it anywhere you want on the page. And since it isn't in the flow, it won't affect any other elements on the page. Seems like an easy addition to make to the page without disrupting what's already there. And let's give it a try. Start by adding a new div just below the header. The CEO thinks this is pretty important, so it should be up high in the other of content. Here is the div. and positioning the word. We'll talk about this in the next lesson. And this is our 76th lesson over. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel. Please put likes, share with friends, comment. And eat fruit, do exercise, drink more water for the effective work of our brains. Bye.